Imagine a world teetering on the brink, where the fate of millions rests on a single decision. A decision, ironically, that hinges on something as unpredictable as the weather. Welcome back, cinematic explorers, to a deep dive into the true story behind one of the most nail-biting forecasts in history. Today, we're unraveling the intense drama of the meteorological battle that shaped D-Day. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey. Our story begins in Southwick House, May 1944, with the arrival of Group Captain Dr. James Stagg, Chief Meteorological Officer for the Allied Expeditionary Force. He's immediately greeted by Andrew Carter, who guides him through the bustling, top-secret facility. Stagg notices a collection of historical analog charts and learns they were requested by Colonel Crick, an American meteorologist. He demands an introduction, but the loud hammering nearby forces a momentary pause in the chaotic preparations. Stagg quickly takes charge, questioning the data being received from the weather ship Host and immediately reassigning his team to focus on upper air data. He discovers that Crick had instructed the team to rely on the historical charts, which Stagg swiftly overrides. Lieutenant K. Summersby, General Eisenhower's driver and aide, shows Stagg his new, temporary office. Stagg, being meticulous, makes it clear he'll need the office exclusively and asks Summersby to inform Eisenhower of his arrival. He attempts to call his wife, but strict security protocols prevent him from making any external calls. Stagg is then immediately summoned to meet General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Supreme Commander. Inside, Eisenhower is reviewing preparations for the largest seaborne invasion in history, involving thousands of vessels and hundreds of thousands of troops. Eisenhower asks if Stagg has all the necessary equipment, to which Stagg replies, "Equipment is not the problem, sir. The real problem," Stagg explains, "is the lack of time to establish a clear meteorological picture." Eisenhower drops a bombshell: D-Day is scheduled for Monday, June 5th, in just 61 hours. Stagg expresses concern, stating that a long-term forecast for Northern Europe, anything over 24 hours, is scientifically impossible. Eisenhower, however, demands certainty, having been told by Churchill that Stagg is the best and expecting him to surpass Crick. Stagg is given until tomorrow morning to deliver his critical D-Day forecast. Later, Stagg meets Colonel Crick, a flamboyant American who relies heavily on analog charts and shares a jovial history with K. Summersby. Crick, unfazed by Stagg's formality, remarks, "You're shorter than I imagined." Stagg dismisses Crick's analog charts, asserting that the weather never replicates its own history. Crick, undeterred, recounts his successful forecast for Gone with the Wind, using analog patterns. Stagg quickly cuts short Crick's story, deeming the atmosphere inappropriate given the gravity of their task. Kay provides Stagg with a direct line to her, explaining she handles all communication with the general. Stagg takes command of the forecast room, stressing the crucial nature of their work and demanding all available data. "Get me the data," he insists, directing his team to gather readings from every station, balloon, and flight within 2,000 miles. Hours pass in a flurry of activity, with Stagg meticulously analyzing maps and reports. Andrew Carter, his aide, provides him with the latest completed maps, indicating the work is done for now. Crick confidently predicts calm, sunny weather for D-Day, based on his analog charts, ignoring Stagg's objections. Stagg counters, pointing out two aggressive storms in the Atlantic and the critical role of the jet stream, which Crick dismisses. He foresees disastrous conditions for an invasion on Monday, a stark contrast to Crick's optimism. Crick defends his methods by listing his past successes in North Africa, where conditions were far more predictable. Stagg retorts, "This isn't Casablanca, Colonel Crick," highlighting the unique unpredictability of Northern European weather. Crick dismisses Stagg and triumphantly declares, "Mark my words. D-Day will be calm and sunny." The next morning, General Montgomery directly confronts Stagg, urging him not to sow doubt about the invasion. Montgomery stresses the dire consequences of cancellation, asking Stagg if he wants to be personally responsible for losing this war. Stagg decides to present his forecast alone, much to Crick's outrage, who protests, "You can't do that." Stagg firmly states, "The responsibility for the D-Day forecast is mine," asserting his authority. In the highly anticipated meeting with Eisenhower and the other Allied commanders, Eisenhower immediately notices Crick's absence. Stagg explains that his forecast remains the same regardless of Crick's presence, but Eisenhower demands Crick attend future briefings. Stagg delivers his grim forecast, a succession of 2 aggressive storms with strong winds, low cloud, poor visibility, and waves of 8 to 12 feet. When pressed on the certainty of Force 7, Stagg honestly replies, "No. It's an estimate." Commanders express deep concern, highlighting that June 5th is the only date this calendar year for optimal moon and tide conditions. Stagg admits it's impossible to say when the weather would be right, suggesting June 18th as the next tidal window. This suggestion is met with outrage. A 2-week delay would compromise secrecy and risk catastrophe. Eisenhower declares Stagg's uncertainty not good enough, facing immense pressure from commanders like Montgomery to proceed regardless. Later, a deeply troubled Eisenhower recounts a disastrous training exercise, Exercise Tiger, where one mistake led to many deaths. Kay comforts him, but Eisenhower reveals his inner turmoil. "When I close my eyes, all I can see is failure." News breaks that the Associated Press prematurely announced the invasion, causing a security nightmare that Eisenhower demands be cleaned up now. Eisenhower angrily confronts Stagg, having been told by Crick that the weather on Monday would be fine. He accuses Stagg of mealy-mouthed crap, and questions his authority, bringing up Stagg's attempts to call home. Stagg defends his position, explaining Crick's past successes were due to stable weather systems in North Africa, not comparable to Europe. Eisenhower demands a forecast that both Stagg and Crick can agree on. Kay later confides in Stagg about Eisenhower's temper, sharing her own wartime experiences and advising him to just grow a thick skin. Stagg, passionately defending his profession, explains that meteorology is not boring, but a study of why things happen, not just when. Suddenly, a critical message comes in, a new reading from Dunstable. Back with Crick, Stagg rejects Crick's optimistic prediction, leading to a heated exchange where Stagg calls Crick a confident moron. Eisenhower, frustrated, gives them 3 hours to come to an agreement before the final meeting with the commanders. During this tense moment, a phone call informs Stagg that his pregnant wife's hospital has been bombed and she's missing. Despite this devastating news, Stagg maintains his composure, declaring it irrelevant to the task at hand. Eisenhower is still leaning towards Crick's anticyclone theory, giving Stagg a final chance to prove his storms are inbound, or they invade Monday. Kay confronts Eisenhower, criticizing his treatment of Stagg and revealing his personal crisis about his wife. She offers to go to the hospital, but Eisenhower refuses, stating, "No. Dismissed, Lieutenant." Back in the forecast room, Andrew Carter reports a crucial development. A cold front appears to be clearing Western Ireland. The reading comes from a Miss Maureen Sweeney at Black Sod Point, prompting Stagg to demand immediate verification and more data. Stagg consults with Crick, who, after reviewing the 5th reading, agrees, it is unusual. It's worth looking into. A narrow window of opportunity is forming, a gap in the relentless storm. Stagg and Crick, finding rare common ground, decide to call Eisenhower. In the final, urgent meeting, Stagg explains the new development. The Newfoundland storm is slowing, creating a temporary window in the disruptive weather. Using cigarettes and glasses as a visual aid, Stagg proposes an invasion for Tuesday morning, just 26 hours away. Eisenhower challenges him, pointing out that goddamn hurricane blowing out there, to which Stagg clarifies, technically, it's not a hurricane, sir. Stagg explains that the element of surprise is critical, as the Germans never see it coming due to the storm. After a tense moment, Stagg declares his official position, go. You should go, sir. Eisenhower makes the monumental decision, okay, we'll go. D-Day is Tuesday, June 6th. Kay finds Eisenhower preparing two statements, one for success and one for failure, taking full blame if they fail. On the morning of D-Day, Eisenhower and Kay are both sleepless, anticipating the monumental undertaking. Eisenhower's powerful address to the troops echoes through the air, "The eyes of the world are upon you." He acknowledges the immense challenge, warning that the enemy will fight savagely. As H-hour arrives, initial radio reports from Utah Beach are dire: heavy incoming fire, casualties. Heavy. Visibility is poor, and landing craft swept off course at Utah and Omaha beaches, resulting in serious casualties. Air support is hampered, with pilots lamenting, "We can't see a bloody thing." However, amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope, waves moderating at Utah, and ceiling lifting to 1,500 feet. The weather begins to clear, proving Stagg's prediction of a window to be correct. Finally, the message arrives, footholds established on all the beaches. Our men are ashore, with full air and naval support. With the invasion underway, Stagg immediately tries to call his wife again, but security restrictions are still in place. Kay, understanding his urgency, reveals she's arranged a car to take him directly to St. Mary's Hospital. At the hospital, Stagg finds his wife, Liz, alive with their newborn son. He cradles his baby, overcome with relief and joy, softly saying, "Hello, beautiful." The weight of the world, and the weather, finally lifts from his shoulders, replaced by the profound miracle of new life. This incredible true story reminds us that even in the largest conflicts, the human element, and the unpredictable forces of nature, can change everything. What did you think of Dr. Stagg's unwavering conviction, even in the face of immense pressure? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this detailed recap, please give it a like, share it with fellow history buffs, and subscribe for more amazing movie explanations. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.